Thank you for the questions. I think the bulk of them are to Churchill, but I'll speak to at least a few that were shared with my reference. So I think Senator Karanja, you had mentioned about Facebook and the dilemma of when do you speak and when do you defend yourself or provide your point of view as a matter for the public record. So I would say that in the business world, I understand, you had probably PR and corporate communications professionals surrounding you, and it can be an emotive issue, especially when people are trying to goad you into saying something back or to defending yourself, when people cast aspersions on your character or make claims about you. Obviously, if it's a matter in court, that one you're sort of gagged or it's the best advice to be quiet. There are other times where what public relations professionals are counting on is Kenyans to be somewhat, I don't say fully, but somewhat forgetful, if not forgiving, in the long run. That there are so many stories, there's so many Twitter trending topics that eventually it will subside. There's only so many inches in the newspaper, only so many minutes of programming that eventually it will subside. And sometimes to speak is to give it life for now another response. Here in the Senate, however, I think this is a place where, and there are several senators, I think, that the last 5 years have been able to establish this virtual constituency. So it's a place where perhaps, and they've made mistakes too, you could argue, some things that a corporate communications professional would say, no, we don't want you to say that. But they have sometimes stood on that ground and, expressed their opinions and, used their freedom of expression. So in this mandate over the 5 years, my encouragement to you would be, it's good that you've joined, and it's for you to find your voice. So it's for you to find what suits you best and to listen to the council around you, because ultimately they know you and they know the voters who have entrusted you with this mandate. So that would be my encouragement to you, and I appreciate you for the comment. I think for Senator Mutinda, you said something, even though it was, I believe, to Churchill. There's a study that we did from January to June using some technology to look at hundreds of thousands of online comments from social media. And we're just looking at how, particularly women, so gender disinformation, women tend to be held to what I'd call an unequal standard on a few measures compared to their male political and public figure counterparts. And that's something I'm willing to share or just to provide for anybody who's interested. Senator Sigi, thank you for the comment. I think the Google CV, my point of view would be, and this is for all of you, I think we have Caroline Gaita here, who was earlier on the panel. So mzalendo.com will likely come up if it has not already, and will keep its own record of you. I would recommend you engage them, see how you can keep it updated and up to the information you want to be out there, and it will track, I think, your participation in the Senate over time. But the Google CV represents, ultimately you have influence. You have just as much influence as the media and the news do, because it can end up with your website, your Wikipedia page, your social media, and then the news. So you have a degree of influence there. You might not be able to control everything there, I'll tell you now, but you can influence it by deciding to do something about that. And then I think Senator Manzo, you had mentioned one point, and I think for me, if I could mention maybe some, because the question was on how much social media is too much. Now, I think in Kenya, as I pointed out, the limit for how people spend their time online tends to be their megabytes and their mobile data bundles. The moment those run out, they have time, they have the attention, but they do not have the bundles to participate online. And so I think that's something which you could keep tabs on. And then last, I think, but not least, Senator, I think from Kajiado, I think the final point, Session Chair, was in the 2002 election, if you wanted to voice your opinion, you would call KBC, call KTN, call the media, call a press conference, issue a statement, maybe send a fax or a letter. And nowadays, you have 24 hours of unlimited space on your social media profiles to set your agenda. So what you do with that is up to you. Thank you.
What you do with that, it's up to you. I think that's a good place to end this session. I want to take this opportunity to thank the panelists. Thank you very much for creating time to share those insights with us. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for being engaged through the session, honorable members and staff. I'm very grateful. I will just conclude by saying two things. One, don't ever forget that today's mainstream media houses, and Churchill has said it, are fighting a serious battle with commercial interests. What is left of editorial interest in the newspapers and in the TVs and in the radios is so small that it will take the input of all of us to save our media. Secondly, in an ideal situation, the media is supposed to be the mirror of society. When you stand before it, you don't like the dirt on your face or the speck in your eye, remove them. Don't break the mirror. I thank you, and God bless you. So I think, Clerk, we can move on to the next session so that we finish. Yeah? Clerk, you'll guide us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wambua, for that session. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senators, we would like to request that we transition to the next session and be done with this before we go for lunch, with your indulgence. The clerk rarely puts the question, but may I put the question? As many as of that opinion, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Senator Okongo Mogeni, you are presiding on this next session. Please, Senior Counsel.
Senator Wambua, at least I'm not the one who put the question. Send me a text indicating that he's away attending burial of his deputy governor. So as a lawyer, he requested me to stand in and hold his brief. So I'll be acting as the chair and the discussant this afternoon. Because of time,